light afterwards. So that's what we photograph with the usual web camera inside. That's it. So we've got a photograph of this. So whatever you place there, if it's conductive, it will emit light. So you can make a photo of it. So one of the main applications of this technology is assessment of the functional or energetic, it's up to you how to name it, of the physiological and the psycho-emotional state of the person. This small box, you just put fingers inside one by one and you get the readings. As being a scientist, I will be a myth buster. That's not aura or something even close connected to it. The real image that we get with our device is grayscale, like this. All the colors that you see on the pictures in the software is Photoshop. It's just our coloring. You can color it in any colors you want, it's Photoshop. That's not the real colors of the light that you emit. So, not connected to aura. If we have time, I will make a live demonstration because I have the software running, so I can just show it to you if we will have time afterwards, okay? But what it is based on, if you measure 10 fingers, then they're intersected according to traditional Chinese medicine. So it's like acupuncture points on your fingers are connected to specific organs or systems in your body. And then the software calculates specific parameters of these pixels that have some area, intensity, and other parameters. And then doctors take people, normal people, ill people, measure with this tool, see the difference, and make an approval that it works. So, software calculates parameters like integral parameters, your stress level, your energy level, your balance. It builds diagrams with the green zone is norm, it's energy deficiency or excessive energy, and for specific organs and systems. So it also gives you a different way, the bar diagram where you can see the most imbalanced organ or system in your body, that's it. And also the psychosomatic approach, the connection of the physical with the psychological. So that's the way from the Ayurveda, developed together with Ayurvedic doctors, where we try to connect the functional state of organs and systems that we have measured, captured, with the psychological aspects of the person. So we apply, they propose to apply this chakral system. So we've got, but just be aware we are using our own interpretation there, because we have our own definition of what we are measuring. So for each chakra there is a manual where we give what it means in our system. When it goes left, when it goes right, when it's in the middle, when it's small, when it's big, etc. But this is the psychosomatics. What it is based on, this technology? It's based on a lot of clinical trials and studies that are published in different journals, and there's already a book published about the application of this technology in medicine. So it's up to you. If you want to study it, you want to find out, there are a lot of resources online on our website. You have seen it on the first slide, you will see it on the last slide. If you want, you can take my business card and see there also all the information. You can download these books and papers from our website if you are interested in this technology. So this is one of the main pillars on which this technology stands. The second one is the patents, of course, and the certificates. So one of the Epigenetics devices in Russian Federation is licensed and registered by State Ministry of Health as a medical device. This device, specific BioWell, is not registered as medical device, and we're trying to evade medical mafia. So we're trying to be on the parallel roads, like wellness device or psychological device or something like that, just not to get in touch with these authorities, not to complicate the life of the users. So, what's the difference between the medicine in the present moment? Well, if you look in a couple of centuries back, you know that, for example, in China, family doctor was paid monthly only if nobody is ill in the family. So it means doctor was materially interested in keeping everybody healthy and prevent illness, just to get money, just to get paid. What do we have now? Doctor is interested in keeping you semi-healthy or half-healthy or quasi-healthy. So you will return to him with some period. It depends how many clients he has. If he has few clients, then you have to return more frequently. If you have a lot of clients, then you can return once in several months. That's fine. But still he has to keep you returning back. So he's not interested in making you healthy. That's a different approach from the business model even. I'm not talking about other things. But as long as where the money flows, that's where all the things are happening. So that's the general state of the modern society in big cities. Well, we had those infective and severe diseases. Now we have chronic and systematic disorders like chronic fatigue or diabetes that is well spread all over the world now. Well, just a couple of notations, references about that. So we are facing a very interesting shift. So it's like medicine is able to suppress the regular acute things and kill the symptoms, but it's not able to solve the systematic disorders. And one of the reasons because it creates these systematic disorders itself. So, main three problems that modern people have. Well, respiratory system, the air that we breathe 24/7. Of course, the air that we breathe is not even close to the one that we were designed for. Well, this flesh was not designed for this type of air that we have in this room, or even in the city. It doesn't matter how good conditioning system is in the room. Still, according to the ecological measurements, even comparing to the road outside, it's at least 4 times worse than outside. But we spend time where? Here. So most of us, if I measure you, each one of you, 95% of you will have problems with the respiratory system. At least 95, maybe 100. So second, back, the spine. What are we doing? The only natural position of this body is standing, straight. What are you doing today? Sitting. And look how you are sitting. Yeah? Not in the way you were designed for. Again, so if I scan each one of you with this device, I guarantee that 95 or even more % of you will have problems with the lower back. We work, we sit, we eat, we sit, we drive the car, we sit, we watch TV, we sit, we only in the straight way when we sleep. Fortunately. So, that's number 2 problem that easy to find. And our data is simply proving it. Number 3 is liver and kidneys. Why? It's our natural filters that are filtering, I'm sorry for my English, all the shit that we eat. So, whatever we put inside is being filtered by these 2 organs. So, again, almost 90 or even higher percentage of you, if I scan you now, will have problems with these 2 organs too. So that's our lifestyle that we live now. That's how we are. While we are talking about health, everybody is really caring about health and want to be healthy. But who knows the definitions of health? Well, if you want to reach any destination, you need to know the name of destination at least. Yeah? Agree? Yeah. If you don't know the name of destination, how you reach it? So it's like GPS navigator. If you don't know the name of the place where you want to go, you will never find it. So, but there are very few good definitions of it. There is some of the World Health Organization that is stating that there's some kind of balance on the psychological, physiological, mental and social and economical too, balance in our system. I don't know how to measure all this stuff, but anyway, that's one of the definitions. What's the definition of illness then? If we don't have a definition, well, some people say health is absence of illness. Super. What is illness then? Absence of health. What is the outcome? Zero. Zero useful information. Nothing can be defined. But let's play a word game. If it's more we inside of you, you care more about others than about you, it creates wellness. If it's too much I, ego, it creates illness. It's just juggling with the words, that's it. But there is some sense in that too. Well, it's up to you which variant to prefer. Well, it was inspired by Dr. Pai from India. So, where do we get these problems from? Well, I prefer to follow the most ancient system on this planet. That states that there are 6 stages of illness. It means illness, before it reaches the final stage, passes many stages. Well, just not to kill the surprise, let's start from the stage number 6, because most of us are common with stage number 6. It's called terminal stage. Well, when that's it, finish. No more time to do anything, time to do surgical operation, to cut something, or to take antibiotics or something. No surprise, most of men, please raise your hands here, men, male species in the audience, are visiting doctors on this stage. Most. Women are more sensitive and more wise. They're visiting usually doctors on this stage when they have some symptoms. So they feel something is not right, then they go to a doctor and they say, that's something not right, what should I do? Men doesn't do these silly things. They wait until it's final stage. So, but still, these 2 stages are only final ones. What are the 4 above them that leads us to these stages? Because if you don't take care of the symptoms, they will lead you after some time to the terminal stage. But what creates symptoms? Accumulation of toxins means that if the toxins are accumulated in any part of your body, it will create some symptoms after a while. Why these toxins are being accumulated in some place? It's because of the metabolic misbalances. It means some energy flows in your body are not incorrect or incomplete. It's like if you don't go to bed in the proper time, if you don't get sleep 2 days in a row, 2 nights in a row, you will start next day with more percent, etc., etc. So you'll find some balance after a while. But anyway, most of us who are not following, for example, the lifestyle that is designed by the nature, we're working in so-called semi-automatic mode. So you don't know even what are the maximum capabilities you have. So what creates those metabolic misbalances in the body is our incorrect interaction with the world. It means it's how you treat the world, how you treat nature, how you treat other people, how you treat yourself, how you treat your nutrition, etc., whatever you like. Any interaction that you have, if you have something incorrect on this level, will lead to some metabolic misbalances in your body that will lead to accumulation of toxins, that will lead to symptoms, that will lead to terminal stage. What leads to this incorrect interaction with the world is the wrong mindset. It's your software, it's your Windows or Linux or Mac installed. The set of your laws, the constitution that you are running. If there is something wrong in your constitution that you're running, your Windows system that you're running on, then you will interact with the world in incorrect way that will lead to on making our software installed the best. But you know that allopathic medicine is working on the bottom two levels only, 5 and 6. So when you go to a doctor, but still it's good when you go to, if you eventually get into a car accident, they will help you. But if you have still some time to do something, you will go to an integrative medicine clinic or doctor who will provide two types of services. Either they provide you detoxification or cleaning procedures of your body, or balancing procedures. Like it can be massage, acupuncture, needle puncture, some emotional freedom technique, whatever, abracadabra, whatever you like. If it balances you, or if it detoxifies you, that's what you need, your body needs. And very, very few you can find people who can help you on top two levels. So, that's the mental level. So, how do we apply this tool in this here? What you can do, you can take this device and make an express assessment of the functional state of the person on these three levels, on the physiological, energetic, and psychological levels. The psychological is covered with the chakras program. You can monitor one state, your own state or somebody else's state, and see what's happening with the person in time. Or you can visualize the effect of any treatment. And by looking at these pictures, you can also predict problems before they appear on the physiological level. As long as so it's time to, you have time to make some preventive steps. So these are the main spheres of application. So like you can do 2 scans and see before after and compare these results to see the difference. And program will help you to quantify it and compare in parameters. Or you can do some statistics and looking at some specific organs and systems that are out of order and give some recommendations. Next question. Do we know what our health depends on? From the point of view of the modern science, on the modern medicine, that's the percentage that we have. That's 45 to 55% is our lifestyle. Nutrition, regime of life, etc. Only 20% is their environmental conditions in which we work and in which we live. Well, which of these things you can change yourself? Well, for sure you can change lifestyle, it's up to you. What to eat, when to go sleep, to do exercises daily or not, all in your hands. Can we change the genetic code? Well, medicine was trying to prove everyone, starting from the mid of the 20th century, that it is impossible. So that genetic code is defining almost everything in our life. I am this color because I have this gene. You are this, have this length of arms because you have another gene. I'm shouting loud because I have another gene. I will hit you in the face now just because of there's another gene in my DNA, etc. So it's really ridiculous, but there are scientific papers published on that were trying to prove that everything in our life depends on genome.
They're not scientific, they're just nonsense.
But still, they were trying, starting from the mid of the 20th century, to prove that. But then, in the beginning of the 21st century, such thing as epigenetics appeared. That is stating that depending on what you do and what you experience in your life, your DNA mutates. How? there are two processes going on: metallization and acetylization of the amino acid consequences. So it means it doesn't matter what DNA you have initially, you can block those consequences that you don't need and activate those that you need. So it means that everything is still in your hands. But, well, the simplest way to mutate your DNA, for example, drink alcohol, you can easily do that. Or change the DNA of your kid if you drink alcohol before impregnation. So, but this simple thing that most people do, but they don't not aware of that. But it's easy to mutate it, consciously or unconsciously. So, let's imagine that our DNA is like a big orchestra where we have all types of instruments. But what type of music it plays depends on whom. On the person in the middle, the conductor. Either it will be very boring music or it will be something in living. So, there are still many scientists who are thinking that we are not controlled by our mind, but we are controlled by emotions. But let's try to analyze it. What will happen if I tell all the curses that I know to you now in English? Well, maybe you will be a little bit disappointed that you have invited such a rude Russian scientist. You will never invite me anymore. And possibly your mood will be spoiled for the rest of the day, who knows, or for a week, who knows. But there will be some effect. But what will happen if I come to a yogi, real yogi, and tell the same? What will happen? Nothing. Why? He doesn't care what I think about him. He really doesn't care what some boy from Russia thinks about him. So there will be no effect because of the assessment. So something is assessing the information that you get. So, and it is dependent on a very main principle of this material universe that's called resonance. It means that nothing can influence you without resonance. Nothing. If there's nothing in you oscillating on specific frequency, this frequency can never affect you. What if I take out the terahertz laser now and shoot at you? Nothing. Laser beam will go through you, through the wall, through the planet Earth, and go to the space, cosmos. Because there's nothing in you oscillating in this frequency. It means that if there is nothing in you oscillating on specific frequency, it can never affect you. Without resonance, no effect, no influence. And it is connected not to only material, like some usual things, but also emotions. If there is no things in you, such things from other people will never affect you because there will be no resonance. Easy. So usually when we ask where the mind and consciousness are, people point somewhere here. Some Eastern people are pointing in the heart, some in other points. But still, let's define, are we conscious really? Because modern science is stating that we are Homo sapiens, yeah? Sapiens means conscious. Okay. So let's define, are we sapiens or not? So if we calculate what amount of information we are processing on subconscious level and on conscious level, it will be such a proportion. It means that 99.999% you are not conscious, you are subconscious. So you are not Homo sapiens, you are Homo sapiens. It's just the traits and habits that you have. You can reprogram your mindset. That will change the subconscious level, that will change the sub-programs, and change the state of yours. But still, according to this we're on. When we look on such pictures, our mind is constantly switching between two images. We cannot see both at a time. We either see a tree, either a man. Tree, man, tree, man, tree, man. It works in an automatic way. You really don't control this process. Well, if you look at that, such a picture, what you see in it, you can still switch between them, and your mind is jumping between them, just to see one reality, another reality, one reality, another reality, in automatic or semi-automatic mode. Maybe you know about that you, in your box here, you have mirror neurons. These are very interesting neurons. These are so-called, if you are using computers, they are so-called copy-paste neurons. Whatever they see outside, they copy it inside without asking your permission and pretending that it is you. So if I see you laughing, these mirror neurons are thinking that it's me laughing. When I see somebody playing basketball, these mirror neurons are thinking that it's me playing basketball. What is the result? I can learn playing basketball without even touching the ball and pretend that it was me doing all these movements. There are a lot of experiments. I have no time, it's only 40 minutes here. Can you be very happy and laughing at the funeral? Almost impossible. Why? They will not allow you. So if you're not autistic, your mirror neurons will copy the grief of the people in the funeral, so you will be also experiencing grief too. So, but you don't control them. They do it automatically. That is why maybe you heard from some people that it's so important to take care with whom you communicate, what are your friends, what are your relatives, where you live, and all other interactions, because they are working automatically without asking your permission. They just copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste. That's it. So again, thing proves us that we're really not conscious. We're very finely tuned automatic things, but there is a consciousness there somewhere. So for just how we can see this without a tool, or for example, let's say regular person, the image of the person after a working day, not healthy person, or healthy person like yogi. And how it looks like on the chakra system. Yeah, the top one is the balanced yogi, the regular exhausted, the unbalanced person, and simply exhausted person when there is almost no energy inside. Maybe some of you have heard about Schrödinger cat experiment. He was a cruel man to do these experiments, but we will do this experiment in our mind. So the thing is that in that experiment, from the point of view of quantum physics, when you close the box, from quantum physics, the state of the closed box is defined as the probability number 1 that the cat is still alive, and the nuclear atom is still floating there, and probability number 2 that the cat is dead because this nuclear atom dissipated and the gas bomb exploded. That's the setup. So, but what happens when you open the box? You do measurement, yeah? You open the box, and after 5 minutes, you open and, okay, it's still alive. So it means, or it is dead. So it means when you open the box, you can see either probability number 1, either probability number 2. You cannot see 30% probability of 1 and 70% of the probability number 2. You as a human being, you can see only one of them. What does it mean? Of course, you can repeat the experiment as many times as you want to find out the real probabilities. But what does it mean? It means that the state of the system or overall is the quantum reality, but when you open the box, you are not facing the quantum reality, you are facing subjective reality. So, if you repeat this experiment 100 times, well, in 50% of cases you will have one result and 50 other, or 30% one in 70 other. But still you will be facing subjective reality each time. So what does it mean? It means that being conscious is like making choices, but you can enter only one. Being conscious, you can enter only one. So here is the definition of consciousness then. Being conscious means simplification of the quantum reality. Means selecting one of the probabilities in the full spectrum of the probabilities in the quantum reality. So our life is like walking in such a maze, labyrinth. This physical body can walk there. It's up to you which turn to make. You can go left, right, front, back, wherever you like. But your body, flesh, can be in one place at a time. This is life. But let's imagine, well, in Russia we like to hack everything. Something can fly above the maze and take a look around. Then return back to the body, and suddenly you know where to go. It happens with us frequently. Some people are calling it inspiration, some people are calling it intuition, epica, whatever. Different names. You know where you want to go, so when this part returns back to your body, it tells you you have to learn left, then right, then left, and you suddenly know where to go. So, how can you do this? Through meditation, being asleep in your dreams, or entering the altered states of consciousness. You can enter that quantum reality. So, my proposal is to call this thing soul. This thing that is from that world of quantum reality where everything is there and all the probabilities are there, all the information is there about what was, is and will be. And this part of you is able to go there, return back and tell you the answers. Sometimes. Well, if you can understand the answer, good. Sometimes you can't understand the answer. But just remember that you are not limited to the subjective reality. Because you have the access to the quantum reality, to the eternal information field, by the means of your soul. So do you think that you can change the world? How do you prove that you can? Well, we are doing experiments with this antenna called Sputnik. We are connecting this thing to our device and we keep it running in any closed space or in any environment for some period of time. And then we get some results. But we need to understand that the discharge that we get, there are many things that are influencing all of this. So we have to monitor these things during our experiments. But of course there's geopathic zones, etc. But one interesting thing is, well, this is the experiment with the sun eclipse. So this Sputnik was able to measure the moment where the sun eclipse was. So it was high variability before and almost much lower variability afterwards. Yeah? So you can place it in some point in the room and measure it. So for example, the green curve of a normal place, or Or you can place it during the musical concert and then overlay the schedule of the concert on the data and see the reaction of the audience to the songs that were sang. And then you just compare it with the background readings where there's nobody there. So the blue is when there's nobody in the room, the deviation base is D. And some songs the audience was half asleep. But like here we have, right? If I will be speaking for too long, part of you will get asleep. So, and it can be measured. How you and what you think and what emotions you have change the signal. Or, for example, there was a ceremony of blessing the water on the Baikal Lake with Masaru Emoto. Maybe some of you have heard about that. So you see that depending on what was going on, the signal changed. So when there was meditation, either there was some collective meditation with blessing of water, or there was a song, or just nothing happening. So different types of signal, and this system reacts on what is going on. Or for example, we were presenting this tool in India, in Pune University, and well, the signal changes depending on what is going on. Either it's vivid discussions, or everybody is silently drinking coffee and tea. Well, you see that the yellow one, the number 2, is the most straight, low variability time. So it was the complete silence in the room, everybody was occupied drinking coffee and tea. While when they were, of course it's India, they were singing Om, all together, on the woman, on the man, etc. So the signal changed depending on what was going on. So, well, you can calculate the variability and see that the lowest variability is during the drinking tea, coffee break, and the highest during the invocation of Om, for example. So, what are the conclusions? It means that depending on what you do in the space reacts. So it means that you can influence it. So do you think now that you can change yourself and you can change the whole world? Because, well, I've just explained to you, everything is in your hands. I've got one question. Who wants to change the world here? Just raise your hand. Please, don't do that. Please. There are 2 moments there. Number 1, you can't change the world, because the quantum reality already has everything. Was, is, and what will be. Already there. You cannot change anything there. What you can do, you can make your own choices in your own life. Be aware that everything is already there, and that your neighbors are also willing to change this world. And what will happen if the way you want to change the world doesn't coincide with the way he wants to change the world? It is called conflict. What happens if a big group of people want to change the world in one way, and another big group of people want to change the world in another way? What happens? It's called war. So please, don't change this world. Leave it alone. Take care of your personal life and the world that you live in, your personal world. And make your own choices. So remember that we are all interconnected by the mirror neurons that are not asking you what you want. So, conclusions. What do we need to do in order to change our lives? Very easy. We need to master our skill of making choices. That's it. Nothing else. Because everything is already there. You can relax. Just feel inside. You don't need to change anything. That's the good news. You don't need to change anything. Everything is already there. You just need to select what you like. So, my personal recommendations will be, you just define yourself what is good and what is bad for yourself. Just remember about resonance. If you think that killing others is good, it means others can do this good to you. Just remember about resonance, it still works. So when you define what is good and what is bad, you can choose your good environment and good people around you. Easy, yeah? After you have made this choice, you start making good choices in your life. And then of course you can reprogram your mindset, the subconsciousness, by selecting habits and traits you want to have and integrating in your life step by step, one by one. So with this tool, you can visualize and quantify all these processes that are going on inside the body, yourself or your clients, and you can see what is going on depending on what you do around you, with the environment around you. You can see how human intention is changing the space around you. So, experiment, work on your self-development, be well.
So, but we don't have that much time for questions, but maybe one question.
I will answer also fast.
Okay, there was one from Mr.
Let me say only what you say about conscious and unconscious. No? You know, all the unconscious is a content of your consciousness. There is nothing.
Yes.
There is nothing outside your consciousness.
Yes,
So
it's just a part of, I absolutely agree with you,
Don't
thank you.
confuse the consciousness of the psychotherapist with, the notion.
Absolutely.
Then I should not confuse consciousness with cognition. Homo sapiens is cognitive and he can do cognition. This is not cognition, recognizing one pear from one apple is not the same as consciousness. Last thing about mirror neuron, there is a general misconception about this notion. It's true that when I laugh, there are some neurons which fires, and in you looking at me, there are the same neuron which fires. But you don't know it. You are not aware. I laugh, but you don't feel any emotions from your neuron. It's just a passive mirroring without any consequence on the emotional state.
Okay, so what?
So what is not true? That the mirror neuron is a kind of mirroring of emotions or states.
I was not telling about mirroring of exactly the emotions, but they're copying everything without asking you.
No, not.
Whatever you perceive is copied.
Copying emotion, they're just copying electrical discharges. And that
Okay.
But
Okay.
it's a main point, it's generally confused that mirror neuron means that if you laugh, I feel happy because I look at you. This is basically wrong. They are the same neurons that fire, but I don't feel any happy because it's not going from the neuron to the emotions.
If you simply love, thank you for your notes, but they're different things. If you express love, that's one thing. If you just feel love but you don't express it, who knows? Only those things that can be perceived from the point of view of Feng Shui or Vastu Shastra, only those things that are perceived by you can influence you. If you don't perceive them, they cannot influence you. So it means, if you don't express love, there is nothing for me to perceive.
This
So-
is not true. I mean, there are
Well,
many,
that's
you
the
have to
difference.
make the difference
Yeah,
between
look,
unconscious.
Look, we're talking about the neural neurons.
processing. If you talk about neurons,
Yes.
some of them process information which is not conscious, and some
Yeah, that's a different
becomes
story.
conscious.
No.
And what you're talking
I'm
about,
talking about mirror neurons that are copying what you perceive. I agree with you
but
that
it makes sense copying in a
Yes,
conscious
it-
sense or unconscious
Ah.
sense. I mean, copying is just a general word. Copying
Yeah.
unconscious state of neurons or copying conscious state of mind, or what are you talking about?
Yes.
It could be anything.
We have to do a cut. Because
Okay, yeah, it's a long story.
Thank you for your contribution. And we have to go ahead now. Thank you very much.